Welcome to OJ Studios. Please enjoy this week's chapter of Bethany by Olivia Julius. Nathan opened one of his eyes to see a bright light above him. He had trouble focusing on the world around him. He moved his head from side to side trying to see where he was. He felt strange and different, and he wondered what was in the tube that Tyler forced him to drink. The thought of Tyler made him close his eyes again. He didn't know how long he had been out for. Is Tyler gone? Did all his friends leave? And most importantly, where is Alex? Rebecca walked into the room and saw her son moaning and trying to fully wake up. She dropped the food she had in her hands and rushed to his side. It had been 2 days since Dr. Martin came to explain Nathan's new condition. She couldn't believe how much he had changed in the past few days. Dr. Martin and the other scientists from the lab had come by the day before and told her everything she needed to know about what her son drank. At first, she didn't believe them. She hoped that there was another reason, that her son's private parts were different, or maybe even that the chemicals in his body didn't take full effect. But to her dismay, her 8-year-old boy started to slowly turn into a beautiful young girl. Rebecca snapped back to the present when Nathan started to mumble what sounded like "Mom." She took his now very girly hand and held it in hers. "I'm right here, baby," Rebecca said, trying not to cry. "Where am I?" he asked. His voice was different. It was both weak from just waking up and from his new voice. Rebecca watched his new brown eyes dart around the room, looking around at things. "You're in the hospital," she said, trying to sound strong for him. "What about Tyler?" he asked. He squeezed Rebecca's hand tightly and then quickly relaxed. "That he can't bother you anymore," she said. She put down his hand and slowly moved towards the call button. A nurse answered and told her a doctor was on his way to check out her son. "I feel weird," Nathan said after the call. Rebecca held her breath. She didn't know how to tell her son that he was now a girl. She had to act fast, though she knew that sooner or later he was going to notice the smaller hands or even the long black curly hair that now framed his face. "We need to talk about that," she said, trying to find the words. Nathan nodded and continued to look at his mother. "Am I okay?" he asked now, worried. In his mind he visioned himself looking like a squid or an ape or a mixture of the two. "You're fine," Rebecca said, "you just look a little different, that's all." She petted his curly hair. "How?" now he asked, a little bit more worried. Rebecca stood up and grabbed a small mirror out of her makeup bag and handed it to him. Nathan looked at the reflection and nearly jumped out of the bed. He was really surprised to see what was reflected. It took him a few moments to speak again. He didn't know what to say, but he was scared. He slowly felt his face and then pulled on his hair. "Why do I look like a girl for?" he asked secretly. He was hoping to look like a superhero and have amazing abilities like Spider-Man or Superman. Instead, he was stuck looking just like a stupid girl. "Well dear, that stuff you drank the other day turned you into a girl," Rebecca said quietly, trying to calm him. "I don't want to be a girl," he said as tears started to fall from his eyes. Rebecca wiped his tears away from his face. She couldn't imagine what this was like for her son. After the doctor finished the exam of Nathan, Rebecca felt a little better. Nathan was given the all clear by the doctor, but was told he would have to spend the night at the hospital to be on the safe side. Usually, Nathan would be happy for the extra attention given by the doctors and the cute nurses, but this time around he was nervous around them, as he hoped that they wouldn't ask him why he was a girl for. Once alone, Nathan sat up in the bed, still trying to figure out what was going on. He didn't understand what was happening to him, and he just wanted this to be over with. But there was a little part of him that wondered what it was like to be a girl. "We need to talk," Rebecca said while sitting next to him on the bed. Nathan nodded a little and moved his hair out of his face. "Look, the doctors here don't know how to change you back right now, so you're stuck as a girl for a little while," Rebecca said, putting her hand on his. "For how long?" Nathan asked if he could feel tears running down his cheek again. "I don't know," she said. Nathan started to tear up more. "I don't want to be a girl," he sobbed. Rebecca put Nathan in her arms and let him cry for a little bit. She could tell this would be hard for both, and she prayed that there would be a cure soon. She waited for her son to stop crying before she continued. This was the hardest thing she ever had to tell her son, and it broke her heart to see him like this. "Listen, you're going to have to live as a girl for a little bit, just until we can change you back." Nathan's eyes widened at the thought that he would have to live as a stupid girl. He didn't want to be a girl, and he feared that he was going to be made fun of in school. "But what will my friends say?" Nathan asked. He remembered swearing to Alex that he would never like a girl. Was Alex going to hate him for being one? "If they're your real friends, they should just look past what your body looks like and see you for you," Rebecca said, straining to answer. She did fear that her son's friends would be scared of him at first, but she didn't show it. She knew most of his friends' mothers, and she knew that most of them would support Nathan during this time. Nathan wasn't convinced and was still scared. "I picked out a name for you too," she said, smiling. Nathan rolled his eyes. He didn't want a new name, he just wanted his old life back. "What?" he asked, trying to sound hopeful that his mother wouldn't give him a girly name. But his fear was realized when his mother answered him. "It's Bethany May Reed," she said, smiling. Since she was younger, Rebecca always wanted a little girl. Even though she was happy with Nathan, she still had wondered what it would be like to have a daughter of her own. Bethany was the name that she was going to pick out if Nathan was born a girl. Nathan knew this and hated the name, but he also didn't want to make his mother mad at him for refusing it. It was around lunchtime when Nathan started to get restless. He and his mother had talked for over an hour about his new life, and he wanted to move around a little. His doctor told him that he could move around the hospital a little bit if he wanted to, and that he could even put on normal clothes. Nathan was ready to get out of the hospital room. He asked where his clothes were so he could put them on and head downstairs to the small cafeteria. But there was one more issue that he didn't realize. Rebecca grabbed her overnight bag and dug around for Nathan's clothes, and to Nathan's dismay she ended up pulling out a pair of jeans that had sparkles all over it and a pink spaghetti strap top with ruffle layers. He looked at her in amazement. Did she really want him to dress like a girl? "I can't wear that," Nathan said, "it's for girls." "You look like a girl, Bethany," Rebecca corrected him. Nathan rolled his eyes and took the clothes. He didn't want to wear the girly clothes, but he also wanted to get out of the hospital gown so badly that he was willing to wear them. At least it wasn't a skirt or a dress, he thought as he walked into the bathroom. His mother stopped him before he could go in. She threw a pair of girls' pink and flowery panties over to him. "Why do I have to wear these for?" he asked. "It's not like anyone will see me wearing my old boxers." "Because your boy clothes are too big for you now, so they're in storage," she said. Nathan's mouth opened with shock. He now knew for sure that he was going to be stuck playing as a girl for a really long time. Nathan walked into the bathroom and set the new clothes on the sink. He wasn't happy that he was forced to do this, but he knew why. He took off the hospital gown and threw it across the small room. He wanted some fun before he had to go out to the cafe. It took him a few seconds to determine which side of the panties were the front, but he finally figured them out after a bit. He couldn't help but wonder why girls had such different types of panties for and why they had different designs on them. Once he got them up, he was shocked to see that there was no bulge in them. He took the pants next and put them on like he would his own pants, but these felt weird and different. They were more tighter on him than his jeans were. He was amazed to find out that his jeans had 2 buttons on it, and he wondered why girls would want that. He zipped up the jeans and tried to put his hands in his pockets, but then realized that the pockets were small and almost useless. He came to the conclusion that all girls' clothes were weirder and less practical than boys' clothes. The top was the last part, and he really didn't want to put it on. The stupid thing looked very girly. It reminded him of some of the tops that girls his age sometimes wore. The top was a little tight around his chest and then flared around him. It felt strange to him to be wearing this top. The spaghetti straps felt awkward to him, and he wanted nothing more than to take it off and wear a normal t-shirt. Nathan looked in the mirror and saw a girl looking back at him. He had messy long hair that fell around head. He was sure that his mother could fix it, but he wasn't sure her wanted it. Ever since he could remember, he always had short hair. He told himself that if he was to be a girl then he would have to learn everything, and the thought alone made him scared. Once Nathan left the bathroom, Rebecca made him spin around her so she could see his outfit. Nathan spun and Rebecca clapped, encouraging her son. The clothes came from the lab as a part of them trying to help Nathan adjust to girlhood. She had a whole bunch of clothes piled away in her van and she longed to be able to look at all of them. Rebecca fixed Nathan's hair and they both left the room. At first Nathan was scared to go out in girls' clothes, but Rebecca reminded him that he looked like a girl and that he shouldn't be ashamed of it. It made little sense in Nathan's head, but he decided to follow her advice anyways. Once they got to the small cafeteria, Nathan was relieved to find it was almost empty of people. They walked to the counter where an older woman stood at the register. "What can I get you, ma'am?" she said, smiling. Nathan blushed and felt a lot better about being outside where no one knew that he once was a little boy. "A cheeseburger," he said, smiling back, "and fries." The lady punched the order into the register and looked at Rebecca, who ordered the same. While the lady came up with the total, Rebecca slipped a $20 bill to her son to pay with. Nathan then handed it to the woman, who then asked for a name to put on the check. "Bethany," Nathan said, surprising both himself and Rebecca. This was the first time he had to admit to a stranger what his new name was.
Dr. Martin walked down the halls to the lower section of the lab. He always regretted the trip downstairs, but he knew if he didn't make the trip himself then the project leader wouldn't be happy. As he approached her office, he quickly tried to make himself look awake and alert. He opened the door and walked in. Dr. Ashley Walker sat facing the wall opposite him. Her huge chair hid her from view of Dr. Martin. In front of her were simulations to some of the experiments that she was conducting. "Did it work?" she asked, not moving around to face her colleague. Dr. Martin finished walking to the desk and sat down in a chair. "Yes, Nathan is now officially Bethany Reed. I just got done securing a new birth certificate and social security card for his mother," he said, leaning back. He was happy on the results that happened with his experiment. "Good," she said, turning around to face him. Dr. Martin never got used to seeing his old college roommate like this, and he always had to remind himself that the girl that was sitting there was in fact the same person that he chased girls with in college. He closed his eyes as he thought about those events 10 years ago. After the accident in the lab, Eric Walker was turned into a 6-year-old girl. Now 10 years later, now Ashley was finally ready to try to become a guy again. All she needed was another test subject, and the accident with Nathan made him perfect for the job. "Should I start phase 2? Dr. Martin asked, relaxing even further in his chair. Walker folded her arms over her still growing breast. "No," she finally said. "Let him enjoy being a girl first."